All right, welcome. We are going to do a case review, client journey, kind of impact statement this week on the Take Your Health Back Now podcast. So, welcome. This is something we really like to put out there so that people can hear someone else's journey, what they went through. Maybe they can see themselves in that. It's a good reminder if you are working on your health, going through a program right now, that you can do it. And here's your process that someone else went through. It's just, these are the kind of things we really like talking about and sharing. So I'm Jenny Wise, and this is Kendra Duquette, and we are Take Your Health Back Now co-founders, and we also have a private practice, Duquette Functional Medicine and Preventative Health Clinic. So if you are interested in working with us, check those out or reach out to us. All right, so we're going to jump in with this week's podcast.
Yes. And it came about because I got a beautiful message. We love hearing people that have, graduated from working with us, and then time goes by and you always wonder how they're doing. And then when I get messages, a year or 2 or 5 years down the road, and we hear where they are now, it just really hits home for us. So we want to share this with you. So I'm just going to kind of read you the message that I got before we jump into her case study, but I also wanted to reiterate, we talk about this a lot, or maybe you've never heard us before, but we have we call it our Take Your Health Back Now system that we use with every single client that we work with in our private practice, as well as in our preventive health coach, our preventive health practitioner, training program. But everything that we do is based on this system. So she went this system, and so I just want you to keep this in mind. It's like a roadmap to get to where you want to go. So the message I got, and keep in mind, she worked with us 3 years ago.
Right.
I think in 2022 was when she graduated. So it said, "Hello, Kendra. I was a patient of you and Take Your Health Back Now a few years ago. My dad likes to brag about how much I've healed myself with just the program that you have created. He has a customer at his job. He wanted me to referral." So she was just, she was wanting to refer out to help somebody else. That was the point of the message. And then I messaged her back, and then this is what she said. So she said, "Thank you all so much. I appreciate you more than you know. I am not sure I've ever shared this with you, but I've been following this lifestyle for a few years now, and it's completely transformed my life. I have been in remission from Graves' disease," and listen to this, because a lot of people, these are diagnoses that people are given and given no hope. Like all they can do is maintain or treat, but you can turn it around. So pay attention to that. So I've been in remission from Graves' disease for 2 years, and I now have 0 markers for any autoimmune disease that I had when I started. I had several. My inflammation levels are at 0, and even more incredibly, my anxiety, which used to be debilitating, which we will go into so bad. I lost my place, sorry, but it was bad. Let's see. Okay, which used to be debilitating, that I couldn't function or leave my house or work, has completely disappeared. My primary doctor was so impressed by my progress, she actually hired a naturopath doctor to join her practice. You all played a huge role in this journey, and I will always hold a special place in my heart for you. Thank you for changing my life." So, we're like, ooh, yeah, we love hearing that people have committed to this and have completely changed their life.
Right.
So I just want to kind of go over when she came to us, where she was, and then her progress through this. So she was only 27 years old when she came to us, and she was somebody that had issues since she was a child. She was born, I think, at 23 weeks, and had problems then, and on high antibiotic use most of her life, and had symptoms. It's always a progression and a path, and sometimes people don't realize that as well. So by the time she got to us, here's her list of symptoms when she came to us. So she had been diagnosed with Lyme disease. You know, a lot of you are experiencing Lyme disease, and people think there is no way to turn that around. That's a scary diagnosis to get. So she had been diagnosed with Lyme disease 10 years earlier when she was in high school. And she had some other symptoms going on, but then she got COVID right at the beginning of the whole pandemic, you know, like 2020 or 2021, somewhere right in the beginning, she got COVID. And then when she got COVID, all kinds of new symptoms came up. Just, you know, we talk about, if you listen to us, your threshold bucket overflowing. So hers, it was that one more thing. It was, she got COVID, and now just, you know, everything just blew up for her. So after that, she had obviously all kinds of crazy pain all over her body because she got a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. She had all kinds of GI issues, severe anxiety. And one of the big things she came to us with was the severe anxiety, panic attacks. She was agoraphobe, which means you're afraid to even leave the house. She couldn't even leave the house. If she did leave the house, she had to go with her husband. You know, that was the only way she could get herself to leave the house. She had to be with him. So she went on, you know, I think he was an electrician or plumber or something, and she had to go with him on job sites and everything just because that was the only way she felt confident enough to leave. She had that Graves' disease diagnosis. She was super light sensitive. I can't read my writing. Something, I don't even know what that says. Brain fog was really severe. And remember, she's only 27.
Right.
Very sun sensitive. So if she spent any time out in the sun, she would get terrible rash, and her heart rate would go way up, heart palpitations, things like that. Highly emotional, very, very emotional. She said she had zero energy. She also could not sleep. So she just spent, you know, she couldn't go to sleep. And if she did fall asleep, she couldn't wake up, or she couldn't, you know, fall back asleep after she got up in the middle of the night. And then she had no energy throughout the day. Her bloating was really bad. Her teeth were see-through because she had so much enamel loss. So that's what she came to us with. And so,
Right. And so much of that was actually diagnosis, which is surprising because usually when we have people with really major like anxiety and like phobia, that kind of things, they don't manage to get any other diagnosis. They just get told it's in their head. So I feel like the her primary doctor was pretty good and was kind of working with her to try to figure things out, which is important because if you have terrible experience with any kind of practitioner, sometimes it makes it even harder to keep reaching out for help. Like she had been to so many people.
right. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people that we talk to, work with, they have just been told it's all in their head. You know, there's nothing wrong with you, all of that type of thing. So, like Jenny said, she was probably lucky who she was working with, that she wasn't told that. She did get diagnosis of a lot of different things, but at least, you know, she kept moving forward. But kind of the takeaway I also want you to think about with this, if you're listening to this and you have symptoms, or if you know somebody that is experiencing chronic health conditions, you see that just what she came to us with, very random symptoms.
Right.
Some diagnoses that seem to not correlate, all kinds of random symptoms that seem to not correlate. And a lot of times people will get caught on one diagnosis, like say, or two, like fibromyalgia and Graves' disease, say that she had,
Right.
but you almost don't, like all of these other random things she's experiencing, you almost don't come in with that because you feel like that's just you and you have these things. So just kind of when you're looking, taking a, you know, step back and looking at what you're experiencing, really think about anything that you're experiencing that could potentially be a symptom.
Right.
Just kind of write it down and take note, because you'll notice when you heal, all of these weird little things that don't seem to have anything to do with each other will go away. It's
Right.
the same causes.
Yeah. And that's also part of the reason why you end up with so many symptoms, like
Mhm.
people that get diagnosed with Lyme disease, like if you are getting tested for that marker, it's because you're having symptoms. Most
Right.
people can interact with that virus or bacteria or, anything, not just that one, but anything that's coming in, bacteria, virus. We have exposure to it. We carry it around a lot. If you're not having symptoms, you don't get tested for it. So, it's one of those things that having those labels, I mean, it's great that she was trying to figure out what was going on. She had a team that was trying to give her some, at least, ideas of why, even if they couldn't give her solutions. But sometimes you just try to get tested to get a label, and then those labels cause even more anxiety, and you feel depressed because now there's no solution, and what do I do? And they're really just all signs that your foundational health is non-existent. Like you wouldn't have the symptoms that would cause you to go get tested for that marker if you were healthy. You
Right.
might, if you went and got tested, you might still have that floating around in your system, but you're not showing symptoms.
Right. Exactly. And always remember that any symptom you're experiencing, even if you're someone that has one symptom that's popped up,
Right.
that maybe you just have migraines and there's nothing else that's cropped up yet, or you're somebody like this person that has already all kinds of things going on.
Right.
All symptoms of chronic health symptoms are a result of a toxic internal environment as well as a toxic external environment, or I should say caused by a toxic external environment. So you have to fix both of those things. But those two things cause every symptom you've got going on, no matter what your symptoms are. So that's what she came to us with. And then 2 months into going through our program, going through our system, already her bloating was completely gone and hers was really severe. She was sleeping great through the night. She could fall back, if she got up during the night, she could go back to sleep, which is a big thing. She felt like her energy was back, or she had a lot of energy when she woke up and throughout the day, which was huge for her. Brain fog was starting to go away. She was able to digest her foods. Her emotions were coming more into balance, and she was actually getting brave enough where she could actually leave her house and go for walks with her daughter. So it was getting better. Everything was getting better. And that's just in 2 months. And she was pretty severe. And then she caught COVID again. And when she caught COVID again, everything came back. All her symptoms came back in full force, except the bloating. For some reason, that didn't come back, but everything else came back. So that is month 3 of working with her. So she had a complete setback.
Right.
But then she got back on, she started over. We did a reset with her. She started over, going through the program. And then for the next 2 months, she started getting better and better and better, just like she did those first 2 months. So,
Right.
now the point is you see that we're up to 5 months in because she had that big setback. But again, she was turning it around, healing, right? So then she had a very stressful, so like I said, this is 5 months. Then her job, because she was feeling good enough that she was able to do her job.
Right.
Then all of a sudden that got super stressful. And then she had another big setback. So just
Right.
go back to that threshold bucket analogy that we talk about all the time. If you've never heard us talk about that, there are videos out there on that podcast,
Everywhere.
on our website. But the idea is that we all have a threshold of how much our body can take, from stressors coming in, the environmental factors coming in, your emotions, your thoughts, your physical activity, your nutrition, all of that coming in. And it just takes one little thing, and then you're symptomatic again until you
Right.
really have spent time bringing that down. So that just shows you that several things, that she encountered, whether it was stress with her job, she got COVID again. A lot of people, it's just eating a certain food. Doesn't matter what it is. One little thing can then send you over the top again with symptoms.
Right. And your body doesn't know the difference if it's a physical thing or an emotional thing. It's going to react the same way like that. bucket of water. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. And the food, food can cause reactivity, but it can be stress. And then every little situation, like it may not just be that one thing. So, like, I think when she got sick, when she got that COVID diagnosis, part of that was also mental because then this had happened before and caused so much stress and anxiety and problems that she was kind of stressing out about that. And, if you know that stress causes you issues, then if you see an environment that's stressful, you're adding it on by worrying about it. So remember that every kind of interaction, every choice you make is not necessarily like that one single thing. You're not living in a vacuum. It's all tied together. So it's going to create ripples and waves that can cause big reactions.
Right. And that goes anything in your life at any point in your life. It's always an ebb and flow. It just is. There's nothing that is stagnant in your life where it's fixed. This is it. Nothing else changes. It's constantly ebbing and flowing in every little thing. How many thoughts do we have a day? What is it, like 60,000 that are subconscious thoughts that are just random thoughts? I can't even remember exactly how many, but every little thing like that, everything you put in your mouth, everything you eat, you drink, you do, you think, your daily activities, all of this environmental stuff around us, every single piece of that is affecting what's happening to you right now in the moment. So you have to think about that. But I will say, okay, so then 2 years later, after all of that, years later is when they messaged me, and every single thing she was, experiencing is gone. And the key factor with all of that is she was persistent and she was determined, and she had to have been seeing her outcome that she wanted. When she came to us, she said what she wanted was to feel great. She wanted energy. She wanted to be able to do things with her daughter. I can't remember how she had a little girl at that time. It was affecting her husband. It was affecting her relationships with her family, with her friends. She couldn't even go outside. She couldn't do things with her daughter. So she wanted this life, whatever that was for her. And she was persistent and determined and stuck with this, even with her setbacks. And I think that's the one takeaway from this. Well, there's several takeaways. You can turn it around. Even for people that we've worked with in the past or people that are listening to this we're working with now, you have to remember that no matter what, life comes in, you get setbacks. I was talking to somebody this week that's about 4 months in. She had an unexpected death in the family and had to put her dog to sleep all in 1 week. That will cause a setback. That is a huge stressor. But the takeaway is that if you know what you want and you stick with it and you don't give up, you don't blame what you're doing for your setback, you just keep moving forward, you will get what you want. And that's why she's been so successful. And it's taken her longer than a lot of people, but it's all because of her determination and persistence.
Right. And it's so important to think about your healing as like what you want in your future, not as like a goalpost. Like, here I met it, and then that's going to be it. And then I won't have to think about it ever again. That's not really how it works. You have to constantly be thinking about where you want to be in the future. And, her short-term goals were just legitimately just to be able to be like a normal human who could sleep, wake up, go outside, talk to people. And I'm sure that is no longer her goal. Like, she keeps improving. So then you keep thinking about, well, what else can get better? What else can I do? How can I expand and grow? And then I feel like part of this, like, people always, not always, but a lot of times when people hear about what we do when we work with people, they kind of question, like, oh, I'm going to be better in like 3 to 6 months. That's how long you need to work with me. And that's, it's a little bit of a different perspective. That's how long we need with you to get you to the point where you can keep that going. So when you are, very dysfunctional, very ill, you need someone really holding your hand, holding you accountable, giving you very specific to-do lists, and teaching you what you needed to do and how to listen to your body. Because when you have those setbacks at that point, they're going to be big. They're going to be big setbacks. You're going to be, it's hard. It's hard to restart. So that's what we are there for. But once you get to that point where you've got a handle on it, you understand what you need to be doing, you've got all the tools to keep this going forward, then you don't necessarily need like a mentor, a coach, a practitioner to stick with you on that. We're always available. Clearly, she's texting us years later. But she has those tools and clearly has been using them to keep that going forward herself. So now, if she had a stressful month at work, or if she caught a virus or a bug that's going around, she'll probably have a minor, symptom flare up, but she knows how to deal with it. It's not setting her back to where she was when she first came to us.
Right. And again, it comes back to that threshold analogy. So you can think about, she is now symptom free. And if you're imagining a bucket with a faucet, which is the threshold bucket analogy, her bucket is now probably 2/3 full. So when she does have something like Jenny just mentioned, like catches a virus, all of a sudden there's a super stressful event in her life, it's like this, like we talked about, but she's not getting symptomatic because she has that, air in her bucket. It can go up and down without her overflowing. And that's where you want to be, where you can deal with that. But it takes time. And that time piece is the one thing that none of us know. When we work with people, if you're doing something else, working with somebody else, that's the one piece nobody knows, because think how much time it took you to get to that point in your life. She was only 27, but like I said, she was born at 23 weeks. So she, from the second she was born, before she was born, probably, she had issues going on. Her threshold bucket was full. I think she had staples in her heart when she was born, surgery. So right off the bat, and she's a unique situation, of course, everybody is, but so it took her 27 years to get to that point where she stepped into our office. So the fact that she gave it that time, and it really only took her just under 3 years to get to where she is now, is amazing.
Right.
But you have to give her kudos for sticking with it. And that's what
4 times faster healing than getting sick. So your body is amazing, and people think about like, oh, I'm in my, 40s, 50s, 60s, I couldn't possibly turn this stuff around. But if she had started life with no foundation of health and could turn it around in, that amount of time, you can do that at any point in your life. It's not about the age that you're at, it's about the work that you put in. Yes. So, and I'm usually not a big fan of like, I need to go to the doctor to get labels and data sets, but I actually really appreciate that she went and kept getting tested to see if these markers were still there. And the fact that conventional medicine shows that there are 0 markers just proves that you don't need long-term medication. You don't need extreme intervention. You need lifestyle change.
Right. And time and all of that. And that's a good point, because we always tell people you don't need the test, you don't need the data, even though people want the data. I think it's a human quality to like data, but you need it. What you need is, how do you feel? Just like what we said with her. Are you able to sleep? Is your GI tract moving well? Are you having well-formed stools several times a day? Do you have energy all day long? Are you symptom-free, pain-free? Your cognitive, thought processes are amazing. You're purposeful. All of those type of things are where we should be. So you don't really need testing. But yes, in her case, that was great, because I am sure she felt amazing, but to have that data And that's what proves,
Right.
other people that you really were able to turn this around. So that was good for that. But now moving forward, for her and for everyone, you only need conventional medicine in an emergency situation. So you have a heart attack, well, you shouldn't get to the point where you have a heart attack, but you have a car accident, you break your leg, something like that. That's when conventional medicine is very needed.
Right.
But for chronic conditions, and we say this all the time, but chronic conditions, they're just not capable of helping. So that just shows you what you can
Right.
do.
And if you have to have an emergency intervention, you should ramp up your um, lifestyle choices after
Right.
that, because that's a huge stressor. You're probably going to be on some, medications of some sort if you have to have emergency intervention of any kind. So then you want to make sure that you are really, really supporting all of that healing and all those internal functions to get them back to where they need to be after something like that.
Right, definitely. Or even if you are somebody that, say you have congenital heart failure, you're
Right.
really unwell, and you think about your options. You've got to do something. So even if you have surgery or something like that, that's basically what
Mhm.
Jenny is saying, you still have to do that foundational work. And
Right. Yeah.
the two together, you never want to, if once you're in an acute situation where it's an emergency, yes, you've gotten to the point, you've got yourself in a pickle, you've got to do something, maybe along the line of surgery. And the whole goal with what we do is so you never get to that point. But if you
Right.
do, but then to be able to heal and, extend your life and have a good life, LIFE capitals, living, you've got to do that. So it's a good complement
Right.
together. But anyway, but hopefully this helped with with the case study. But I will say too that, we've done a podcast before, I think, on chronological versus biological aging.
Right.
And, we talk about that sometimes, but this is a good case of that. So, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
aging, a lot of times people think about external, if you have wrinkles, that kind of thing. But aging is how fast your body is declining and going towards disease and probably an early demise. It just
Right.
really
Yeah.
is. So chronological aging is, every year you get 1 year older because you chronologically, I was
Have been in the world in that physical body.
55. That is
Right.
chronological age. But your biological age, you can reverse that. You can stop it, you can slow it down, you can even reverse it depending on where you are. So biological aging is completely different, and you can change your biological age for sure.
Right.
But anyway, we're very happy with this particular person. We're not going to disclose her name, but she's doing amazing, and that's literally what you have to do.
Right.
And she will probably, because she has seen a complete, like, I can't even tell you what she was like when she came in. And if she's symptom free now, I can't imagine what that's done for her life. So she will probably stay on this path for the rest of her life, which
Right.
means biological aging, she will get better and better and better. And she feels amazing right now. A year from now, like, she probably can't even imagine how she'll feel. She will just start, just always feeling better, better, better. So that's hopefully that's helpful to you, that you can turn this around, but this is a lifestyle change. You have to take action, you have to be persistent, and you have to give it time.
Yeah.
There's no quick fix, there is no band-aid fix.
No, and things that people always put up a few excuses or barriers when they're looking at a big change. That's normal. Um, but people would be like, oh, I couldn't possibly enjoy that kind of lifestyle, either the food or, the taking away of all of the electronics. And, there's some little thing that people will always say, I couldn't possibly enjoy that. But you will feel so much better. That every person that goes through this gets to a point where they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe, how much I enjoy this lifestyle, how much, I look forward to XYZ foods when I hadn't even tried them before, or, it's so much more peaceful and calm. I have such a great, mental outlook and perspective. Some piece of it is always surprising to people, that really sometimes what you don't like about what you think you're not going to like is tied to how you're feeling, and you're feeling pretty crappy. So
Right.
always have an open mind, always give yourself that chance to make a change and believe that you can do it. It's so much easier if you have someone supporting you and giving you that path at the beginning, because these changes really can be sustainable. You can live this lifestyle long term and enjoy your life and be thriving.
Right. And I will just say one more thing about her. Now that she has done this for the last almost 3 years, and seen this all go away, and her life is so much better, she's actually considering becoming a PHP, which is our certification program, so that then she is equipped to then help other people. And oftentimes you'll notice people that are healers of any kind, often in the holistic space, the people that are really good at what they do are the people that have had a story. They've
Right.
had a personal experience, whether it is themselves or, someone that they knew, maybe a family member or something, but they have a personal experience tied to that. And they're so passionate about it now that they're exceptional healers.
Right.
So if she does do this, she will be really good at it, because
For
her
sure.
story, her journey has been,
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, so that's it. So hopefully this gives you help. Just go back and remind yourself, maybe listen again to what she came in with, and then where she is now.
Right.
Just so that, for you or someone else that you might know, share it with them to give them hope, because so many people just don't know there is any hope. They just don't know that there's any way to turn this around for real. And, so anyway, that's the main reason we wanted to share this today. So
Yes.
far.
So yeah, like Kendra said, like, share, subscribe so that you know when we're going live again, so you get more of this information. If you or someone in your life is kind of at that point, then reach out to us directly, and we can see what we can do for you to get you on your path to where this client is now at. Almost said her name.
I know, I did it too a couple times.
All right, so we will wrap it up, and we'll be back next week with another podcast. If you want to be able to watch live and see these a little earlier, then join our private Facebook group, and enjoy your spring week.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.